All right, great. Let's go ahead and get started here. Thanks again, everyone, for joining here today. My name is Adam Kostopoulos. I'm a solutions consultant with NewGen Business Solutions. Appreciate everyone's time in joining what we're calling our wholesale distribution transformation with NetSuite workshop session. So I'll go through agenda here in a little bit, but just some points to note ahead of time. I think we're good to go with folks moving their lines. I can kind of see here on my end, but if we could keep questions and thoughts until the end, hopefully we have about 5 minutes on the back end for some questions and follow up after the conclusion of the presentation, the short highlight demo. But if you have any questions throughout, there's a chat box you should see on your Ring Central meetings window. If you want to throw them in there, we can make sure that they get addressed towards the end of the meeting. So a quick agenda here. And another thing to note, this is being recorded, and we'll send this recording out after. So if there's anything you didn't catch, want to rewatch it, or want to share this with some team members that couldn't make it to our workshop here today, you'll be able to do that. So short agenda. We're going to start with talking about who is NewGen Business Solutions. A lot of folks on the call, you've worked with us for a while. You're familiar. Want to reintroduce us again, though, and maybe some of the areas that we cover with the NetSuite product that you might not be familiar with. Introduce you to the NetSuite tool. Specifically for point 3, how can NetSuite help your organization and your folks' organization sitting in the wholesale distribution space? Some of the unique pieces about the technology that can really laser focus in on some of your business processes and help you with some of those areas. So we want to demonstrate and show you some of that value there and introduce you to the tool in that sense. And then finally on the back end, give a bit of a product demonstration. So a lot of folks haven't had the ability to see the NetSuite product, so we want to introduce you to the product as well. So who is NewGen? We're a recognized leader in business systems implementation and support. Recently opened an office in Scottsdale, Arizona. So we have 2 offices in the country with nearly 30 folks employed around the country. Trusted advisor to 300 plus organizations and growing. We're adding new folks every day, and a lot of folks in the NetSuite space. We have a very large growing practice in that space, a lot of need there. Full service staff with a wide breadth of industry experience. This includes, and is probably our biggest pocket of customers, a lot of experience in the wholesale distribution space, so a lot of knowledge there. And then we've been around for 25 some years delivering quality service. Who am I? I'm a bit newer to the organization, been with NewGen about 3 months or so. But prior to my time at NewGen, I was actually a solutions consultant or a sales engineer at NetSuite. So I've been working with the NetSuite product for about 2.5 years now. So really my role in an organization like NewGen and my role at NetSuite was talking to customers, listening to customer requirements, needs, challenges, pain points, and tying those pain points and challenges to some of the functionality that NetSuite can deliver and assist folks with in their organization. So that's what I do day in, day out, as you might expect. This is a little bit of a taster for organizations that are interested in looking to a cloud solution like NetSuite, and surely we'd want to have a deeper and be happy to have a deeper and more targeted discussion about how a solution like NetSuite could help your business after a call like this one. But prior to my time at NetSuite, I spent some time in consulting at Ernst & Young as well. So a number of years experience in the business system space. So NetSuite, what is NetSuite? NetSuite is, they like to call themselves one of the first cloud companies. So they were actually born out of a meeting with Larry Ellison of Oracle. It was the Larry Ellison of Oracle, the founder of NetSuite, Evan Goldberg, and actually the founder of Salesforce all sat in a room and said, hey, this cloud thing is coming about. We want to take advantage of it. So both of them got seed money from Larry Ellison. The founder of NetSuite went and did ERP in the cloud. And of course, the founder of Salesforce went and did CRM in the cloud. So actually, NetSuite can say with confidence that if not the first, one of the very first true cloud software companies. Came full circle, and you see it at the bottom towards the end of 2016. They were acquired by Oracle. I was part of the organization with that Oracle acquisition and saw nothing but great things as a result for NetSuite. An incredible increase in investment in the product from a monetary perspective. A lot of product knowledge. You would figure at an organization like Oracle, a lot of software knowledge, a lot of that funneling into development and expansion and scalability in the NetSuite product. So NetSuite does, though, operate as a separate GBU of Oracle, so they kind of write their own rules, and it's great for the product. So they got about 6,000 some people, I think, at this point that are solely focused on NetSuite. 40,000 some organizations today running the solution across a variety of areas, including wholesale distribution organizations, offices all around the country, scalability, and multi-subsidiary, multi-currency type functionalities and features built into the product, and it shows as they operate and sell around the world. And they're running about $1 billion run rate every year in sales, and that's growing rapidly. And a cool point about that that's not noted here is NetSuite, they take 30% of top line revenue and reinvest that in the product every year. So they do about $300 million worth of investment in the product year over year. That's your developer salaries, that's R&D. So the product constantly growing, constantly evolving. And Oracle sees it as a great investment, and that's why they purchased it late in 2016. So, why was NetSuite founded? Really, NetSuite founded to solve issues like this, and I would see this all the time when I was at NetSuite. See it all the time with NewGen. Unfortunately, something like this mishmash is what their systems look like today. Very fragmented, siloed, inefficient. As a result, they're going up against their business challenges day to day, sort of alone, because their disjointed systems aren't there to support them, to back them up like they should be. They'd have to replace 10, 15 systems that are monolithic, systems that have different technologies, aren't integrated, stuck on older versions from the past, customizations that have been layered on top by developers that no longer work there, things like that. And a lot of time, and folks on the call might be able to recognize this, it's sometimes easy not to touch any of this when you have a new business challenge and you need a software solution to solve that challenge. You just add a standalone new module, standalone new product, don't integrate it. And this just further adds to this kind of cluster of problems. So, huge mess, and you're vulnerable. You can be vulnerable to your competition because of some of this sometimes. So, the market reacted to this, and suddenly everyone's preaching cloud as the magical cure-all for all of this. However, you look at a slide like this, a lot of these cloud products weren't written for the cloud, and the owners of the software companies, or your SAPs and those other types of companies, just took their existing solution and threw it on the cloud and charges you a subscription fee for it. So you get the same results as an on-premise. You've got integration nightmares between all these point solutions that, yeah, they're cloud hosted, but this cloud solution is doing this piece, this cloud solution is doing that piece. You still got to tie them all together, and you have integration issues. So you get the same problems: fragmented data, multiple user interfaces, siloed data, different versions of the truth. So that's really NetSuite, and what I really like so much about working with the tool. This is where the design philosophy of NetSuite is different. So NetSuite, again, born in the cloud, designed to work in the cloud from day one, has never been an on-premise solution, did not need to be retrofitted to be cloud first. Meaning it's going to have all the tenets you would associate with a real true cloud solution. Access it from any device, anywhere, anytime. Consumer oriented, easy for anyone to pick up and use without extensive training. And surely I hope you see that with our brief demo here today. And fit for your purpose, always up to date. So everyone's always on the same version with NetSuite, the NetSuite cloud solution. There's 2 big releases every year. If you do any sort of tweaks in your version of NetSuite, those updates come in on a different layer, and they don't affect any sort of customizations or tweaks or uniquenesses you've built NetSuite to adhere to for your unique organization. So it's another fun, great point about the product. So starting in the middle there, that single data source. This is NetSuite's biggest selling point, really. So your data, your entire business sits on this single data source. What NetSuite calls their unified data model. And what this really does is it enables true business intelligence the way companies need it. You can report, analyze on your entire business end to end, whether it's sales, e-commerce, order management, fulfillment, even things like CRM can come as part of the NetSuite platform. So all sitting together, all unified together, getting all the folks in your organization on the same page. And then it's all real time. No need to build complex data warehouses. From an accounting perspective, no need to consolidate your books from subledgers. It's all managed in real time, again, in that single data source. So that middle ring there, this is all built on what NetSuite calls their Suite Cloud platform. So this is an area where NewGen, we play a lot because we have developers on staff that can build just about anything on NetSuite's platform. Very robust platform. Custom fields, custom reports. A lot of this triggered by drop-down menus and GUI screens rather than a lot of custom code. But it does have that deeper code layer that allows us to do just about anything on this platform, what NetSuite calls Suite Cloud. So this is an area where we do a lot of NetSuite business and have seen a lot of business challenges that folks on this call might have that we can be of assistance with. So, this platform offers unrivaled levels of personalization, customization, development, all within this framework that ensures security, scalability, and then if it makes sense for your organization, globalization too, multi-subsidiary currency, a lot of functionality there. So. That bigger ring, these are some of the core areas of the application. Again, you can call them different areas, but a lot of other applications might call them modules, and NetSuite doesn't like to call them modules quite as much because when you talk about modules with other applications, you're talking about siloed data. This module has this database, it's separate. This module has this database, it's separate. Not the case with NetSuite. Again, it's all that single data source. But surely there's different functions: order management, accounting, e-commerce, CRM, HCM, financials, your core GL. So that's what you're seeing around the circle there. And then in the final circle, is that global power that NetSuite can deliver. So not always functionality for folks right out of the gate with NetSuite, but should you go global or have a global business, sell multiple currencies, NetSuite brings in currency rates, translates amounts for you automatically, consolidates your books in real time very quickly, allows you to close your books very quickly. Very strong multi-currency, multi-language functionality delivered for you out of the box should you need that. Then last but not least, I'll talk about this next. NetSuite's built for specific industries as well. They deliver what they call, for lack of a better term, I suppose, flavors of NetSuite. So NetSuite, very robust, very malleable for different organizations and industries. So they have solutions for software companies, for service organizations, for folks in the advertising space, for not-for-profits, manufacturers. So that brings us to our discussion today. We're going to focus in on NetSuite and how it can really help folks in your space, the wholesale distribution space. Oops. So here's a look at that. NetSuite boasts 1,500 plus distribution-specific customers in your space. On our end, again, I mentioned this earlier, NewGen, we have a lot of folks and a lot of customers that operate in your space, a lot of deep knowledge and best practices, leading practices in that space that we can help out with. And then some of that specific functionality, and we'll take a look at some of this today. Talk about CRM, order management, fulfillment, what warehousing looks like, pick, pack, and ship, how we manage inventory, keep track of what's on hand when we need to reorder, what our stock levels are, forecasting intelligently for seasonality of certain products. All of this stuff is built into the NetSuite platform. And for a lot of folks, some functions, features that maybe they haven't had with existing systems or never knew that they could really utilize. So, those are some of the sort of undiscovered needs, I suppose, we sometimes find when we're doing these NetSuite evaluations. So. And then just some metrics here. NetSuite contracts third-party analyst groups, and they give us this data to share on these types of calls. But these third-party groups come in and they talk to NetSuite customers and conduct these ROI surveys and then publish this information. So this group, SL Associates there, did some surveying of longer-term WD customers that use NetSuite and found some of these top-level insights. 56% increase in actionable insights, thanks to things like NetSuite dashboards, that real-time reporting that is right there when you need it, up to the minute with the latest transactions, the latest workflows through your system, because of that unified database. So it allows for that proactive decision-making as opposed to some reactive sort of bandaging and fixing of business issues. The middle two, 1 to 5% increase in margins, 30% decrease in inventory costs. That's thanks to visibility of looking at your product costing. We'll see all this, visibility of product costing, integrated procurement and sourcing in the same tool, and all of this data being visible to folks when they're selling in your sales channels, on their sales opportunities, on their quotes. Not only are they selling items X, Y, and Z, but they are seeing a real-time look into the inventory. What do we have these in stock? When's the soonest we can fulfill this item? And again, that's all because you've got your sales folks, your inventory folks, your procurement folks, your warehouse folks, all on the same system, on that unified data source. And then on the far right there, this is more of an obvious one probably, but that 75% decrease in IT support costs. The cloud solution, no need to host your own servers, have your own data center, cool it, power it, hire some people to maintain those servers, the database layer, the application layer, all that. So it's a fully hosted cloud solution. All you need is a browser and you can log right in. Okay, so those are my slides. So we'll get into the meat of the workshop here. I want to show you the NetSuite solution. Tab over to my browser. So this is a look at a NetSuite dashboard, what we call the main dashboard here. So again, NetSuite being a SaaS application, you can access NetSuite from anywhere, any browser, any system, PC, Mac, or mobile. So use NetSuite in the office on your work computer during the day, and if needed to, you can log into the same system when you're at home on your iPad on the couch using the NetSuite mobile app. So your entire business anywhere, anytime. From a security standpoint, NetSuite's role-based, meaning you can grant or restrict access to certain features, screens, data types, data fields to different folks in the organization depending on what they need access to. So I'm currently logged in here as Larry Nelson, the CEO of our organization. So I just want to talk about the user interface a little bit here. And you'll see me jump across some different roles, look at some different dashboards, but there's going to be some commonalities across those dashboards. So up at the top, what NetSuite calls a global unified search. So think of this as like a Google search for your entire business. So a unified database, this is where the power of that comes in. So say I want to find some records related to my customer Smith Supplies. I get to start typing. You see I get a customer record, I get a contact, and some sales opportunities with Smith Supply. If I want to get a little bit more pointed, say just find customers with Smith in the name. CU, short for customer : Smith. We got a couple customers that have Smith in the name. So you'll see me use this a bit during the demo here today, but I can use this to find records in CRM, invoices, sales orders, transfer orders, any transactional or operational record in NetSuite I can find using this global search. So pull up reports, pull up functions, pull up tools, process records. You'll see me use it quite a bit. Navigation bar up at the top, recent records menu. So think of this as like a breadcrumb trail of things you've accessed recently in the system. NetSuite being a cloud application, it's going to be like the cloud applications you know and like using today, meaning you can open as many records as you want and as many tabs as you want, as many windows as you can fit on your screen. Not always the case with some legacy applications. There's one screen on your desktop and you want to compare and contrast two things. Take a screenshot of the first one, then dig into the second one and compare them, or dig in and dig out. A little bit frustrating. It's not the case with something like NetSuite. Favorites menu, access things I access often in the system. And then what NetSuite calls the NetSuite Center. So these are groups of activities that I have access to in the application depending on my rights and privileges in the system. So, sales and marketing pieces, HR pieces, financial pieces. I'm a CEO, so, in my role, my privileges might grant me access to quite a bit in the system. And working with a lot of folks that moved to NetSuite, one thing they like about the tool is, and this is probably the biggest challenge with changing systems, is adoption. Are my folks in the organization be able to use the tool? Is it usable? And will they not cry foul having to learn about the new tool? And what we've always heard that folks like about NetSuite is there's no real one way to do anything. If as part of your job function you have a set of things that you need to do in a tool like NetSuite, someone in collections, if I'm getting to my collection screens, pulling up my invoices, I can search for them in my search bar. I can favorite the screens, in my favorites menu. I can access my invoices or something like that from my menu structure. Or I can set something up on my dashboard. So, NetSuite really, what it likes to do is empower end users to find flows and click paths and things like that make sense for them. And that comes as part of training to, best practices in the tool, and that's where someone like, NewGen comes in, and what we would help with our NetSuite clients. So, what's taking up a majority of my screen here is the dashboard. So I want to talk about that. Some of these, what NetSuite calls portlets. So the dashboard's entirely configurable. I can click and drag, and really change the dashboard to fit, and empower me as an end user, give me access to the things that I need access to. I can personalize, I can add additional elements. So you see here, I got some textual KPIs, more of a visual person. I can click and drag a KPI meter to my dashboard. So you can see in real time that updates with my revenue number. No need to run a report or anything like that. It's accessing that real-time database. Transactions that could have been posted 30 seconds before I pulled up this KPI meter, they're going to be included in this revenue number. Now take that over to payables, same thing. No need to run that report. You're getting those real numbers. Just as easy as I add that, I can remove it as well. So I want to talk about some of these boxes, some of these portlets here really quick. Reminders, think of this as like a to-do list when you log into the system. So NetSuite has this idea of workflows. There's a bunch of out-of-the-box workflows for sort of your standard processes like you'd assume. Create your own workflows as well. It's how we route transactions around our business from NetSuite user to NetSuite user, approvals, thresholds, things like that to keep things happening in our system. So CEO, not a lot of to-dos. They're more of, I want to keep track, I guess, of the financial results of the business, which you see on the rest of the dashboard, but they do have to approve some expense reports for maybe some of their subordinates. So, this is a link. I drill down and I can enact on those 3 records on the next screen. You'll see me use those a bit in some other sections here. KPIs, I can choose the KPIs that make sense for me. There's a bunch out of the box. We can design our own as well, whatever is really important to us. These are all built off of real underlying numbers. So as you might expect, I can drill into my previous period revenue, and that's going to take me with just a click down to my income statement. So, full revenues, expenses down to net income. Looking at my previous period, January. I'm looking at more of a full year. But I can choose the time period that I want to view for my particular report or any report down to the day. As an executive, great to be able to see that high level revenue number. But, if I have questions about where this number is coming from, I'm empowered with just a couple clicks to get down to the transaction level and see what's making up that number. So now I can, with a couple clicks, see the invoices, the journals that are hitting this 4110 revenue account in my income statement. So a lot of accessibility there. Any of our reports, and I don't have the ability because of my role, but we can customize any of these reports, create our own versions of it, export them, schedule them to be sent out to certain folks at certain times. A lot of configurability with NetSuite, a lot of business intelligence power. So one thing we like to say about NetSuite is as long as the data is in the system, we can build a report on it. As long as we can build a report on it, we can visualize it on our dashboard. So you've seen some of that on the sides here, trending our report for new business, and we choose, visualizations that make sense for the data, the different monthly trends. I mean, we can all do this on the fly, and you see it's refreshing from that underlying data in real time. Revenue, period trends, expenses. In the middle of our dashboard here, some additional financial metrics. And another thing to note here, what you see on these dashboards are what you're going to get sort of day one with NetSuite. So NetSuite, I said it's purpose-built. It comes built with roles that are specific to an organization that sits in the wholesale distribution space. So I think there's about 15 some roles, from warehousing managers to sales staff to executives. And the hope there is, these roles are great starting points for the types of privileges and views and dashboards that someone that's a CEO or a AR analyst might want to see in NetSuite. And then you have the configurability to tweak things that are specific for your business very easily. So look at weekly cash projections, financial overviews. We're actually trending some of our financial balances over time. You can see my data is a little bit weaker here since I haven't refreshed it, but we've got quite a bit of data here going back, last fiscal year to date even. One thing I'll note here, new customers this week. So this is what NetSuite calls a safe search. So what a safe search is in NetSuite, really powerful, sort of a customer favorite tool, essentially allows me to make a query against that unified database without having to know how to write SQL queries or anything like that. So using a bunch of drop downs on the back end, I can tell the system, and what this CEO's done here is they've said, okay, give me a list of all my customers, but show me just the customers that we've made our first sale to in the last week. And it's all driven by drop-down menus. So you see this one's called new customers this week. So set this up once, can throw it on my dashboard, and we see that the system has recognized based on dates, first sales that we made, opportunity records, things that we have stored in the system. I have a running list now, and anytime I pull up this report on my dashboard, of customers that based on the current day, we've made our first sale to in the last 7 days. And a reason a CEO might want this, maybe they want a list of brand new customers and they want to reach out to our contact Alexander at Abbott, and I've got his contact information right here, phone or email, to reach out and say, hey, thanks for your business. So we're pulling back these records, and we choose on those records what fields do we want to see on our report. So we want to see name, email, phone. And none of this requires custom coding or anything like this. It's all a drag and drop, a drop down menu effort. So to give you an idea what another dashboard might look like, jump quickly into my AR analyst role. Similar look and feel, but now I'm a little bit more poignant. I'm transactional, sort of boots on the ground. AR analysts, their reminders, things like sales orders to invoice, invoices to print, a running list of invoices that are overdue. They've hit their terms and now they're overdue in their age. So maybe I need to reach out. KPIs, all very receivables focused. My new business numbers, new customers, my DSO ratios. My dummy data is a little bad here, but this is all going to be running in real time, all very focused again on that AR analyst role. Okay. So that's a bit of an intro to NetSuite dashboards. Next up here, I wanted to take us through a short business process view. So we're going to jump through some different roles. We're going to start on the sales side. We're going to make a sale to a customer. We're going to jump into warehousing. We're going to fulfill that. Then we're going to jump into financials. We're going to build that out. We're going to invoice our customer. So show you sort of a front to back flow of what a transactional flow could look like for an organization, a wholesale distribution organization that's running something like NetSuite. So first, swim lane order management. You can see I'm going to log in as a sales rep. NetSuite has full integrated CRM, leads, prospects, customers, opportunity, quoting, forecasting, looking at your pipeline and estimating out future sales, all of that. Not enough time for that today, so I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead to some of this, but leads can come in to NetSuite. We can import a bunch of leads and nurture them. We can have online lead forms that we integrate on our website to NetSuite. So someone fills out a contact us form, it'll insert that directly into NetSuite. Can use a round robin or a sales territory approach and say, if someone fills out my form and they're from California, I route it to this sales rep because they're the California sales rep. All of that can be automated on the Salesforce automation side. If that's something that'd be valuable for your organization, definitely reach out to us. We'd be happy to show you what some of that looks like. But CRM fully integrated with every NetSuite install. Whether or not you choose to use it is of course a decision for every organization. But what we'll do is we'll start actually on an existing customer. We're going to create an order off of that customer. So we'll go through some validation steps. We'll see how it integrates with inventory, and we can see whether or not we have that inventory and when it can be first made available to be fulfilled to that customer who's purchasing it. Once approved, we'll go through fulfillment. So we'll jump into a warehouse manager role, and we'll show or see what a pick, pack, ship process could look like for an organization using NetSuite. So there, we're going to see the integration of picking tickets if an organization wanted that, packing slips and RMA slips to ease some of those RMA processes if people return stuff, and giving your individuals, of course, an idea of what's in the box when they get it to their door. And then on the shipping side, a lot of organizations using separate ship stations or FedEx terminals or something like that to do some of their shipping with small package shippers. All of that is integrated into NetSuite. So we have USPS, UPS, FedEx integration out of the box. The generation of shipping rates based on destinations that are on your customers and on your warehouses, and giving you the real shipping rates and the real labels right out of the gate. So again, that single source system is staying true and even a process like that. So once shipped, then we'll go to billing down at the bottom. We'll bill off the sales order and talk about some collections processes with NetSuite. So back in my tool, sales rep, you see my sales rep, terrible month here. So I got some work to do as a sales rep. Again, that's my seeded data. But, the metrics here, again, very similar look and feel, but the things that I'm interested in and are important to me as a rep, my forecast, my quotes, my opportunities, my open sales orders, my customers want to know where's their stuff, what step in fulfillment are we in, what's the availability of the products that they've ordered. If they have those questions for me as a rep, if I have NetSuite, I have the ability to have access to that information because it's all sitting in the same system. So I'm going to look up one of my customers here, Smith Supplies. So NetSuite calls their customer record the customer 360 record, meaning it's one customer record across the entire organization. The same customer record for sales, for order management, for accounting. And what's great about that is it really does give you a 360 view of your customer and your relationship with that customer. Down here on my sub-tab structure, I can see from a sales perspective, what have I done with this customer? What are the actual transactions that have run against this customer record? My sales orders, my invoices, my item fulfillments. My sales team, who's involved, who's their main rep. Opportunities, sales opportunities, what opportunities I've opened with them. What's the status of those opportunities? When do we expect to close? The totals, the probability, how they're integrated in our forecast. And these are all underlying records I can drill down to. It's giving me that again, that 360 view of my relationship with this customer. Communications, what sorts of sales type activities do I have with this customer? So I can track, activities that I have against this customer, phone calls that I should make with them, events I have with them, tasks to do type items and associate them to this customer. And I can throw those on dashboards, assign them to people, give them due dates, things like that. Messages, this is a really powerful, well-liked feature in NetSuite. So NetSuite's actually going to retain copies of the interaction you have with your customer, whether that be, on the sales side or on the financial side. So you have multiple reps and folks reaching out to your customer. You go to a page like this, and it can give you a complete picture of, how often have we connected with that customer? What have we messaged them about? Who is messaging to them? What's the back and forth? So you can see here in this message list, these are a bunch of records that NetSuite sent out when we sent them, hey, here's your order, here's your sales order, here's your invoice, here's your receipt, your shipment notification. So we'll see what some of this looks like as we step throughout this process. But you can see here, we can see what any of these messages look like right within the application. Relationships, contacts I have on this customer. So, one or many, and track and if it's a big sales opportunity, who's the decision maker, and who do we have involved with the various calls and in the engagement. We track all that like we would with a CRM system. Of course, everything that has a financials impact is gonna have that in the system. So here's our financial look at this customer. What's their outstanding balance, the aging of receivables we have with them, their credit limit, so we can set up the system to stop new orders if they hit that limit or something like that. From a transaction processing standpoint, of course, we can sell to our customer on our terms and define, they're a net 30, net 15 discount customer, something like that. But we can run right from the application. We run credit cards, wire transfers, process checks, and do check runs. All of that from the application as well. And then support and marketing functions are integrated as well. So marketing campaigns, blast emails out to your customers with coupon codes, track, how many purchases you've gotten off of those things. Support, open tickets, track status on tickets as well if your customers have issues. So that also feeds into like an RMA, a returns process. So that's all going to be routed through NetSuite as well. So let's go ahead and create a new order off of our customer Smith Supplies here. So I'm going to use this create new menu. Sales order. And since I created this off this customer, we can see some of this information flowing forward already here. So now we've got a new sales order for our customer Smith Supplies. One thing to note about screens in NetSuite, it's all configurable. If we want custom fields that are specific to our organization in NetSuite, we can do that. We can do that without custom coding. It's all drop-down menus on the back end for adding new fields, date fields, dollar value fields, text fields, whatever it needs to be. They'll sit in the database. You can throw your own custom fields on reports. You can do, math on your custom fields. Custom field A plus custom field B equals custom field C. NetSuite, very configurable. So we could stick fields where we want, reorder things, rename things. Again, NetSuite, very malleable to fit sort of the look and feel that you need for your business. So down on the line level here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a product. I'm going to add this Asus monitor that I have in stock here. So of course, pulling from an item master, I'm a sales rep. I can sell things all day, but one thing that I might not have in an existing system is a real-time look into inventory availability. So I'm getting that at the line level here. So I've got 34 items on hand. Choose what's the location I want to fulfill from. I've got 2 warehouses here. You see, as I toggle my different warehouses, I'm actually getting real-time availability numbers from those on-hand quantity amounts that I have on hand from those actual locations. Tax integration. NetSuite, of course, keep track of your different locations. I think they use Grant Thornton to help them keep some of those rates up to date, but surely you have tax compliance as well. Expected ship date. This is something great for a sales rep. I want to know if I'm selling my customer this monitor, when can I actually promise that we're going to have this monitor out the door to them? So, I'm selling one, I'm selling it out of this location. I have it, so the earliest day I can ship it is actually today. If I up that quantity, we can see here down at the bottom, I have my different calculations from item to item. What's my minimum order quantity, my quantity on hand, my reorder point. There's all these calculations that NetSuite's doing on the back end. It's looking at incoming purchase orders when I've purchased a bunch of these monitors from my vendor, and I know I've got these coming into stock. And I've got other reps that are selling the same item at the same time I am, so it's keeping track of reserving just sold units that aren't quite shipped yet. So we've got these supply and demand calculations going on the back end, and I actually can click into these and see those procurement POs and see those outgoing sales orders or approved sales orders that haven't been fulfilled yet that are on the demand side that are always changing my quantity on hand for these certain items. So having that all together is going to paint that real picture of, how many of these items do I really have? Should I promise this on this date? Can I really fulfill that? So that's, one of those advantages of NetSuite integrating sales, order management, fulfillment, procurement, all on one platform. So we see I, take this quantity and let's say I wanted to sell them 30 and, that's well over the amount I have on hand. And even, if we included committed, which we wouldn't want to, that's going to shift my date out. So NetSuite now looking at any planned procurement I have, maybe I have a blanket purchase order or something, or a recurring purchase order set up in NetSuite where I'm always purchasing X amount of units from this vendor on a certain basis or something like that. It's calculating, well, if they want that many, the soonest date we can procure that or ship that out is that date. Move it back down to more in scope, just 2. I'm still on that same date today. So keep it at 1 for now. Go ahead and add that to my order. Surely add as many items as we want here, but I'll keep it simple. Promotions, we can track promotions, track sales on those promotions. You can see that, we would add discounts to our order item here if we did that. Shipping, that integration of shipping. So what this is going to do here, and again, USPS, UPS, and FedEx integration, I can calculate these amounts straight from the application. So we've got this ship to address coming in real time from our customer master. Smith Supply ship to address. We could change it if we wanted to. So give it a minute to think here. So what it's doing is taking my my location, my US1 warehouse, which of course has an address associated to it on the back end, and it's doing that math for me. Billing perspective, am I selling on my terms? Am I selling, a quote unquote cash sale? Am I collecting a check? Am I running a credit card? Something like that. Choose what makes sense. I'm going to go ahead and do this on terms so we get a receivable for the later on. But that can be set from customer to customer and default in. Accounting, my tax rates, if I need to override that. One thing that's a customer favorite here is gross profit. And I don't like how out of the box here we stick it in this tab. I think this is important. Why are we selling things unless we're trying to make some sort of profit? So I think this should be front and center. And what's nice about NetSuite is we can take this GP information, this calculation, this real-time calculation as you're filling out the order. It's calculating this because your cost is going to be integrated in the system because you procured it from the same system. So you're going to have a down to the cent procurement cost. If we want to throw this up here, we could do that. If we wanted to have line level GP numbers, this is my GP on this item we're selling. On this item, we can do separate GPs. We can throw that out so reps know, this is our gross profit margin, and they can hit those targets or whatever that needs to look like for the business. So I'm going to go ahead and save and email this out. Oops. What is it not like here? There we go. All right, so we're going to have to save the sales order. So now we're pending fulfillment. Anything that needs a PDF or a deliverable to a customer is going to have that. These deliverables generated in real time, on demand. They're going to attach to email, so we can email out our customer the sales order, attach this, can change the look and feel of this, throw a logo on it, change colors, change alignment. This is actually a lot of the work that NewGen does with NetSuite, but we can give the look and feel that's right for just about any company. So now that we're pending fulfillment here, I'm going to jump roles over to my warehousing individual here. So I got warehouse operations. Again, one of these out-of-the-box roles. We can tweak them however we need to for our business. So you can see that their look and feel a little bit different here. Orders to receive in from our purchasing cycle, and then our fulfillment tasks. Fulfilling orders, packing orders, shipping orders. We can have this as sort of granular as we need it to be. Let's say we were using picking slips with our organization. I can print a bunch of those. So I have all these orders that came in today as a warehouse operations person. I'm going to mark all these and print out my picking tickets and give this to my pickers. So now we've got these printing out for my sales orders, the item we're picking, the number we're picking, any inventory detail, where is it located in the warehouse? If we have bins, if we have locations, we can get really granular in how we assign inventory to different locations in our different warehouses and in locations and bins and shelves within those warehouses. And we can integrate, scanning guns and warehouse management at a more granular level too, if we wanted to as well with a solution like NetSuite. But let's go ahead and let's fulfill that order. So I've got my order down here. I believe it's going to be this one, 234, sales orders 234. With these screens, we can enact on one or many transactions at once. So if I wanted to go ahead and I wanted to fulfill all these, I can mark all and fulfill them all, print all the shipping labels, print all the packing slips. But I'm going to go ahead and do just one for this one order that we're working with here. So my item fulfillment, I can have that picked, packed, shipped, multi-step process. But let's imagine I've gone ahead and I've picked this order already. It's sitting, next in the area of my warehouse where I pack it up into a box, throw in the packing slip, and just before I ship. So I'll go ahead and set this to packed. See everything's rolling forward here. I've got a connection to my sales order on the back end. Go ahead and save and print that. So that's going to tell the system, all right, this thing is in a packed status. The next step is shipping, generation of that shipping label. It's going to give me that packing slip as well. So send this off to a printer, throw in the box. I've got my RMA, my return form at the bottom down there as well. Again, we can tweak this to look any way we want with NetSuite. So back on my item fulfillment record, I could do this one at a time here and just send this to the last step of shipped. But you notice, if I wanted to dig into here, orders to ship, I'd find it in that list now too. So with NetSuite, you can enact steps, transactional steps on one record at a time, or you can do a bunch together. You can invoice 100 sales orders at once and send out 100 emails with 100 invoice attachments to your different customers if you wanted to with a solution like NetSuite. Have the email template say, dear individual, thanks for your order. You would order, this is invoice XYZ. These are the items you ordered. Deliver it to their inbox. All dynamic and in bulk, I suppose. But I'm going to go ahead and just enact on this one record here. So mark it as shipped. So this is going to do the triggering of our actual tracking number. So you can see here the tracking number has been assigned thanks to that integration with UPS. You can get our tracking information straight from the application, can print our label right from the application as well. And then on the email side, I should have it in my inbox here. This is going to send an email out to my customer as well. So the things that I'm showing here are out-of-the-box behaviors, but these processes are malleable. The emails that come out of them are malleable. We can change the look and feel of just about anything in NetSuite, and that's where some of the power really starts to show with NetSuite. But this out-of-the-box one, dear customer, thanks for your order. This has been fulfilled. Here's your item. Here's your total. Here's your tracking number. So no need to copy and paste that from an existing system or anything like that. Save you a lot of steps and save you possible errors with juxtaposing or copy pasting that number from two sources. Okay, so this has gone ahead and been fulfilled. So our next step, last step we'd want to do is from a billing perspective. We'd want to build this order. So stepping into the role of a controller, this could be an account, it could be a receivables person, whoever that needs to be in the business. We step into their role, and that's their role based on how we've defined our NetSuite system. So you can see their dashboard very financials focused, but in their reminders, some sales orders to invoice. Dig into that. I've got 7 of them. Down at the bottom here, I see that sales order 234 push through on today. If I wanted to invoice all these together, I could do that, or I can invoice one at a time, which I'll go ahead and do. So invoice that, that's going to take that sales order and that's going to push it to an invoice. So sales order, of course, not having a financial impact, but our invoice surely will. Go ahead and save, print, save and email that. So you see everything's rolled forward, nothing I need to do here. And that's why we can do 10 of these at a time if we wanted to. The system already knows. So I'll pull up that invoice. We've got our customer coming through. In our related records, we could see, our item. We could see our item fulfillment. Where we stick that in our relationships tab. There we go. Our item fulfillment tracking number that's related. Any promotions. We could see all of that flowing forward. Anything that has a GL impact, again, is going to have that in the system because NetSuite, first and foremost, is a GL. Anything that needs to have that financial impact is going to have that. So you can see what this input impact looks like on our books. An increase to receivables, hitting our revenue account for 4110, which I think we saw earlier on the income statement, and then some freight expense or shipping expense. And then we can go ahead and we can accept payment. You can accept payment at any point, but this will pull us into our payment screen. Autofill our customer, and then we could see some general information, their outstanding balance, and then any and all their outstanding amounts with us. So defaulting in payment for that specific invoice here, but if they send us a big check for 10 grand and they wanted to apply it against X, Y, and Z invoices, we can go ahead and do something like that line to line. And we got information about discounts and things like that as well. You can put that against existing credits for returns, deposits if they gave us a deposit ahead of time for a big order. That's we can account for all that. Payment method, whatever that needs to be. This might actually go ahead and run a credit card, a dummy credit card, but let's go ahead and take a look here. So run that payment. So this will save, give us that GL impact, and run that payment, whether it's a collection of a check, integration with a credit card or something like that. So of course, can't run credit cards on my demo account here, but you can see at least the financial impact. So an unapproved payment, probably because the system needs to, can't find some credit card validation as it expects, and NetSuite integrates with popular payment gateways to run some of that directly from the application, and then a reduction in our receivables. Okay. All right, so that was a quick look at some transactional processes within NetSuite, and a quick introduction of sort of the UI and some of the malleability again, and customization, and a way you can really use a solution like NetSuite to drill down on your wholesale distribution business and provide a lot of value around different functional areas of the business, again, all within that unified platform. So, got my email address. You can reach out to me if you have any thoughts, any questions. We have about 10 minutes here for any questions. So if you want to go ahead and unmute your line, if you had any thoughts that you wanted to share on the call here. Otherwise, again, we recorded this, so we'll be publishing it. And we'll be following up with everyone with a copy of the recording, as well as some collateral around NetSuite and how it can help wholesale distribution companies. But appreciate everyone's time, attention, and I'll open up a line at this point. Okay. Sounds like we're all good. So we'll go ahead and we'll end a few early here, give you some time back. But again, thank you so much for your time, and hope you enjoyed it and saw some value in it and got a good view of NetSuite. Hope to be in touch, and take care. We'll be following up.